This is my entry for this week's DreamSnap, Dreamlight Knights. So for this one, I knew I wanted to do a split shot. One side a pretty palace, and on the other side I wanted to use the Chernobog's changing castle, with my character in the center. Since the Chernobog is such a tall item and wide, I needed to find a spot that I could place him, and have him about my character's height, which is why I decided to build here. Adding some dead Forgotten Lands trees to fill in his side a little more, checking to make sure that tree isn't blocking him, spinning it, and looking for a smaller castle to fit on the other side. It couldn't be too big, or I wouldn't be able to fit any other decorations around it, and it might look a bit squished, as this spot is a little narrow, though Rapunzel's tower looked a bit too small. Considered Beast's castle, but it was a little big, so I wanted to try the palace. It was slightly smaller, and I liked the coloring. I was a little worried it might be a bit too big, but I wanted to try. I grabbed the Vizier's alchemy table, as I was picturing this as a closer shot. Plus, I couldn't decorate the ramp my character was going to be right by, so I figured cutting off most of it so it wasn't an empty space was probably a good idea. I liked how that was feeling so far, but I was planning on using one of the lightsaber poses, which would lower my character, creating a lot of empty space above her. So I wanted to use a glitch to lower the second camera. To do that, I went back into selfie mode, crouched, then uncrouched, and switched back into second camera mode immediately. That was feeling better. I wanted to try and fit a tree behind her, on the palace side, but that might affect her placement, so testing it out. Yep, it pushed her. So, scooting the alchemy table a little, checking if that helped. Better. I might need to tweak it a little more later, but I want to add some of the same trees on the palace side, to help it feel a little greener, so adding a bunch. Trying to frame that side with them, and create a bit of a walkway. I wanted to add some bushes to cover more of the desert sand, but that cluster just wasn't feeling right. I tried the Forest of Valor bushes, but it didn't feel right either. Tried adding some meadow grass. I didn't like that I couldn't get them closer, which left a gap between them. I tried filling in with bushes, but they couldn't get closer either, so I tried adding some peaceful meadow bushes in the front. I wasn't sure about it, but I wanted to add some rocky terrain to the path, hoping that might help, and that deleted most of my grass. Tried adding them back, but I wasn't really feeling it, so I tried adding the pastel flower patch instead, and swapped out the grass and bushes since I was liking it better, and they fit better together. And since it had been feeling a little dark, I grabbed a table and added the Chandelier of the Deep to help brighten things up a bit, adding some lanterns along the path as I thought they looked pretty. Cleaning up a couple bushes to try and scoot the table chandelier closer, checking how that's looking. Better, but the bushes are feeling like a bit too much, and the table chandelier needs to scoot closer. Cleaning up some of the bushes, trying to find something else to put there. Considered the red rose fence, but it didn't feel right. I liked the idea of using the new haunted armor as some knights in the background, so scooting the bushes back a smidge to fit them in along the path. Filling in and adding a few bushes back. I didn't like the sand showing, so I wanted to add a path underneath everything on that side, and thought the natural rock path would look good, so I tried that. Tried to make sure it got in everywhere, filling in the empty spots. Considered adding some candles, but it didn't feel right. The ballroom candelabra didn't want to fit, and didn't feel right either. I liked the enchanted cage lanterns, so I tried adding them to the front, though I wasn't sure they were going to show very well there, and I thought it could be fun to add some fire to the other side, so I added a few pyrotechnic boxes. I also liked the idea of my character facing to the right, instead of to the camera, so to do that when in second camera mode, I rotated my character so she was looking the way I wanted, then paused the animation. Then, when I turned my camera back, she stayed looking the other way. I liked that better, but it was feeling a bit too close, as you couldn't see the palace side very well. Scooting the alchemy table back, and trying again. A little better, but I wanted to scoot a little more, and try moving my character over a smidge. Better. I like the fire, but I want to try scooting my character and the tables a little more. I also wanted to try adding some fire next to the tree behind my character, adjusting the enchanted cage lanterns a little. Better, but the camera is feeling a bit too close, and I wanted to move the knight closer to the front. I wanted to adjust the tree and the fire, but couldn't, adding some purple butterflies and fireflies, and decided I wasn't feeling the fire behind my character, so I got rid of it. Adding some golden felt cap mushrooms. I wanted to add some butterfly flowers, but they didn't feel right on the path, so I added them to the back. tried some thorn vines as I thought they could look cool, but they didn't really fit the palace side, so I got rid of it. I tried adding one where the fire was, but it didn't fit. Neither did the frozen dead bush. Adding some white flower petals, as I thought they looked pretty along the path. Adding some tangled ombre bushes to try and get some more green in. Trying the blue one behind my character. Adding some ever after fir trees on the other side, since I thought the blue went with the bush I had just added, and were tall enough to be seen. Checking how that's looking. I liked how that was looking, but it was feeling a bit darker than I wanted. I tried adding a filter, but didn't like what it did to the colors. So I wanted to see if I could get the chandelier closer. But since I knew the table I was using was too big to fit between the alchemy table and my character, I went looking for a different table that was a little smaller. I grabbed the marble coffee table, the only coffee table that can hold a chandelier, hoping it might be short enough to not be seen. And you can see it. Trying normal second camera mode instead of the lowered. You can't see the table, but I don't like seeing so much sky. Trying to see if I can move it. Not really. Moving the other table closer, then decided to just move it aside for now. Trying to adjust the table or alchemy table, neither want to. So I moved the alchemy table over to see if not pushing the camera forward works any better. No. Looking for the large white marble dining table. Since it's slightly narrower and can hold the chandelier, I was hoping it might work. Adding the chandelier and putting the alchemy table back. Adjusting the placement. Checking if that helped. Oh, it disappears if you glitch into it. That's helpful. Scooting the table further down. I don't like the dots the invisible table is causing, but the lighting is better. Though I kinda want to try adding a glow behind her, to help her stand out a little more. And scoot her a smidge closer to the screen, since the alchemy table was moved further back to fit the table. So, scooting over, adding a display pillar behind her, and some Vitali lights. And trying to add the enchanted castle oil lamp, but the tree doesn't want to share. So I put it next to it, which got rid of the bush. Tried twisting the tree, but that didn't help. Got rid of the caged lanterns and scooted the tree, but that didn't really help either. So I pulled the pillar forward and stuck it behind. Checking how that's looking. I like how the glow looks, but I need to scoot them a little so they aren't showing. Shifting the lights down, checking if that helped. I guess my character got pushed forward? Trying to back up, but there isn't enough room for my character. Moving the pillar aside, getting back into place, and using a glitch to put it right next to my character. To do this glitch, I put it down, picked it back up, and hit escape twice, once to let go, and again to exit furniture mode. Sadly, I believe this glitch only works on PC. Still need to scoot the lights down, moving them, and glitching into the pillar again. One light is still showing a little, but better. So, shifting the lights a bit, to see if that helps. Nope, I made it worse. More tweaking placement. Better, but the oil lamp needs to scoot over, so moving it. Considered adding one of the ombre bushes to help hide the metal stand of the oil lamp, but it didn't feel right. Adjusting the knight's placement. Too far back. Checking how that's looking. That's feeling better, but I would like the dragon and the owl in better spots, so I want to glitch them so they stay where I want them. So, grabbing a critter house. I have to stop hanging out with them to put them in the house. I wanted to get the dragon by my character, so I tried pushing him, but he didn't want to go where I wanted. He is wandering too much, moving the table aside and blocking him in on the side I want him. Getting into place and waiting for him to go where I want. To glitch him, pet him, and go straight into furniture mode. Checking if he's walk throughable, and he is, so it worked. Sadly, I believe this glitch may also only be usable on PC. Adding the owl, moving the critter house so he can move. Didn't do it fast enough. Not in a good spot. Got him. Putting the table back. Too far over. Getting back into place. Trying to move the table back and not grab the butterflies. The other nice thing about the critter glitch is that it lets you put items on top of them, so the table isn't an issue. I like that, but I forgot to clean up my blockers. No, I don't want the butterflies. Moving them over to clean up the rocks. Moving the table to get back into place. Checking how that's looking. And I'm not in the right spot. Moving the table, scooting my character, and putting the table back. I like the critters, but my character's blending in a bit with the blonde hair, so I need to change it. That feels better, and I like that the purple and pink in the hair match the dragon. Though the floating lanterns are starting to feel like a bit too much, so I need to adjust them. I wanted to scoot the knight back, but he didn't want to. And the dots from the table were starting to bother me, so I wanted to try the square one again, now that I knew glitching the camera through it would make it disappear. Checking if that helped. Maybe? I'm not sure. Trying the coffee table one again. That works. And it being lower means there are less dots. And that feels better, but I need to scoot the other table off camera. So, moving it over. And scooting one of the lights a little. That's feeling better, but I don't like seeing the desert stone wall behind the trees by the palace. So adding some fir trees behind the other trees. Still not feeling sure about the floating lanterns. Dropping some items I thought would be fun to add. Sorting through the items I dropped. I wanted to use the sunflower, but it didn't fit anywhere. Adding a white rose, and some rainbow roses. Trying to scatter them around. Adding more moss, and more white roses. Adding in more. Trying to keep it feeling balanced. Adding some more white roses. Checking how that's looking. Forgot the swords, moving them off the table. And you can't see any of the items I added on the left foreground. Scooting them. Adding more roses and moss. Checking how that's looking. Better, but they need to scoot a little more. Shifting them, and the knight over a little. Moving the broken sword, as it wasn't feeling right there. Better, but I want to add some more lanterns. So, scattering them in along the path. And adding some bubbles to add a few more in. Adding another to the back. Checking how that's looking. Better, but the floating lanterns are feeling like a bit too much. So, getting rid of one of the bunches. And adding more trees to the other side. But there wasn't a lot of extra room for them. Trying to adjust the lanterns, but the fireflies and butterflies like to get in the way. Checking how that looks. Better, but I want to adjust the items some more, and get rid of one of the lanterns, as I don't like them lined up right behind one another. So, shifting the roses and the moss. And moving the lantern out of the shot. Better, but it's starting to feel like there are too many lanterns in the bubbles. So, scooting one and fixing butterfly placement. Checking if that helped. Better, but I want to adjust the mushrooms a little, and the owl is blending in a little, so I want to add a light behind him. The mushroom can't really fit anywhere else, so leaving it, and adding another bubble to put a Vitali light in. Checking how that looks. Need to scoot the light a smidge. A little too far over. Scooting it. Better. But I want to adjust the fires a bit. I also thought it could be fun to add a dragon incense burner to the table, to see if I could get some of the smoke in the shot. Moving one of the fires. Checking how that looks. I like the smoke, but I don't like it coming off the dragon's head, so I need to move it. Scooting it and adding another. Need to scoot and adjust them a little more, and I kind of want to add some falling petals on the other side. So, scooting one of the incense burners, and grabbing the blossoming cherry tree, in hope of catching some of the falling petals in the shot. The petals aren't in the shot, and the smoke is barely there now. So, twisting one of the burners, moving the other table chandelier out of the way, and moving everything else over there, grabbing the fairy flower garden, to try and get some of the petals in the shot. But it doesn't fit. Trying the cherry tree again, hoping twisting it might help. Not really. At least the smoke is looking better. Still not sure about the floating lanterns, so getting rid of them. And adding more fireflies instead. That feels better. Now, since the sky was feeling a bit bright, but I didn't want to lose the overall lighting, I decided to try a lighting transition, starting out at sunset and swapping into night, taking the shot immediately. And I liked that. But since the flower petals weren't working, I kinda wanted to add some sparkles instead. And I kinda wanted to adjust the closer night again. So, twisting him a little, and scooting the roses. Getting rid of the cherry tree, and I forgot to bring buttons with me, and I don't want to reload and reset the critters. So, using a white rose instead. I'm not sure about the sparkles there, and I need to scoot the rose on the left. Adjusting the roses, checking how that looks. Need to scoot the one on the left more, and the one on the table isn't feeling right. So, scooting the one on the ground and moving the other one to the other side of the table. Better. The sparkles might be a bit much, but if caught at the right time, might be okay. Though I want to scoot them over a smidge. I want to try scooting it a little more. Better. But I want to try to add the end of the rainbow cauldron for the cloud, to try and help the bright and cheery versus dark and gloomy feel. Adding it behind the castle, trying to get just the cloud, checking how I like that. The rainbow part was showing, and that felt like too much. Scooting it. Better, but I don't like the cloud. Getting rid of it. Yeah, that felt better. I did really like this shot, but after sitting on it for a bit, I decided I wanted to make some adjustments. So booted it back up, locked the area off, and refroze the critters, which was a struggle, as they didn't want to cooperate with me, and after a lot of struggling, I finally got them. Got rid of that knight, so I could scoot the bush forward, if the butterflies will let me. Scooting the other knight forward and over a bit, adding a bubble to the other side and putting a pyrotechnic box in it to get the flames a little higher. Trying to add another, but the tree is in the way. Trying to shift it around, managed to squeeze in another, adjusting the smoke a little, dropping some glimmer and a button in case I want to swap it in. Moving the button out of the way and scattering in some glimmer. And I wanted to try the rainbow again. This time actually trying to use the rainbow part. Trying to find a good spot for it. Figured I'd try it there for now. Adjusting the butterflies, and I darkened her hair a bit, as the pastel colors were blending in a bit. That was feeling better, but I froze the dragon in a bad spot. Moving the table out of the way, and blocking off the area. To unfreeze a glitched critter, just pet them. Two turned, trying again. Scooting the bubble light to try and get it behind the owl again, and you can see the pyrotechnic box. Need to move it. Trying to move it to the back, without deleting a tree. That spot works. I wanted to adjust the owl's placement, so blocking off the area. Unfreezing him, and waiting for him to go where I want. Why is he stuck there? Trying to push him where I want. No, I don't want to pick that up. Back to waiting. And stuck again. Stay out of that corner. Stay out of that corner. Too far back. Scooting some items to try and get him closer. No, you are not going in that corner. Got him. Checking if that's a good spot. He's two turned. Petting him and then quickly refreezing him. Better. Cleaning up the blockers and putting the moss and roses back. Adding another bush. Better, but I need to scoot the bubble light again. Better. But now I want to adjust her hair color again. And the rainbow is starting to bother me, so I want to move it to the other side. But the trees don't want to let me. Checking how that looks. Better, but I want to rotate the rainbow a little so it wasn't going through the castle. And I want the dragon to scoot up a bit. Twisting the rainbow, moving the table out of the way, and blocking off the area. Unfreezing the dragon. And he doesn't want to go where I want. So, blocking off more. And he just goes around. Pushing him out. Got him. Cleaning up the blockers, and moving the table back. And he's a little too far forward. Moving the table and trying again. Checking if that helped. And he's back to about where he was. Trying again. And I forgot to block the area off. Moving the critter house over, then sometimes they run towards it when you move it. Apparently he doesn't care. Moving it back. Locking him in. Wasn't fast enough. About where he was. Petting him to try and keep him in the area I wanted. Got him. Cleaning up the blockers and putting the table back. And he's too far forward again. Moving the table, unfreezing him, pushing him, and refreezing him. checking if that's a good spot. Better. Moving the table back. Now I just want to try and get some good sparkles on the lower left. And I like that. If you're curious, this snap took over 5.5 hours to do. Thank you for watching the video. Please like it if you found it at all helpful, and subscribe if you want to see more like this.